So I wasn't sure how I was going to make this video. I actually recorded most of it, and then I realized I wasn't really liking the format. The issue that's going around with Insect Glaive is bigger than it is with other weapons, so I thought it needs a bit of a different type of approach. Normally I'd go comment by comment talking about what they've said and what I think about what they've said, but reading all of the comments left in the post, I realized that many of them echo similar things on their criticisms, the dislikes and likes. Now I gotta thank everyone for their contribution, because at first when I thought people had issues with Insect Glaive, I thought it was just going to be about the aerial combat lacking, but no, there's so many other points that people pointed out that they didn't like for the weapon. There was even some cases where people said they were fine with the fact that aerial wasn't as prevalent as it was in the 5th gen, which we'll see later on, so I was very surprised on that. So I've pinpointed the issues that people are having down to 7 main issues, which you'll be seeing on screen right now, and we're going to get into that in this video, so stay tuned for that. But firstly, let's talk about my experiences with the Insect Glaive. I don't have much. I played the weapon in Rise and that's pretty much it. I know about the weapon from 4U from talking about it with my friend Inferno, who mains it in 4U all the way to current gen, and is probably going to main it in the next game in Wilds. But apart from that, I don't know too much. My knowledge is going to be limited, so bear with me on that. And then quickly, let's just get into the poll results. And the question of today was Insect Glaive users. What did you think about the weapon in the Wilds beta? And at the time of this recording, with 205 votes, now this is the most votes out of any of the polls we've done so far, which already tells you that Insect Glaive users wanted their opinions to be heard. Now we're starting at 50% saying I love it, 44% saying I like it, 32% saying I didn't like it, and 9% saying hate it. Also, this is the most that's had hate on any of the weapons so far, any of the 4. Right now on screen, you're going to see the others, and you'll see the comparisons between this one and Hunting Horn, Gunlance, and even Short Shield, which had some issues with people, but mostly they loved it. And this one only has 15% love, so people aren't loving it. They're very much in the middle, very much in the middle. And I had some people out asking me, Nova, couldn't you put like a meh or, right in the middle, no real opinion? They're not really sure what to think. Unfortunately, YouTube has changed it, so now you can only have 4 poll answers and not 5 as you used to. I'm not really sure why they did that. But enough of that, let's first move into our first point, which is controls and accessibility issues. Now, many people pointed out that there've been a big issue when it comes to the actual controls of the weapon in this game. For example, Leo Natanen says the biggest problem with this iteration in Wilds are the awkward controls on controllers. I think if they fix that, probably way more people would accept the changes. And I tend to agree, there was a lot of moments when I was playing in the demo, definitely when I was charging the move, that new move that you charge from the air, where I did feel like I had to claw grip, which was another thing that someone else said, Asharam, who also said you should never be required to crab grab to play a weapon as a baseline. Now I suppose this guy never played in 3U or 4U or any of the previous games before 5th gen, but that's besides the point. He's correct. I did feel like I had to do that, definitely when I'm using focus mode, and it did feel a bit strange. This is a big problem, and it's not just me saying it when I was actually playing the game. Many people are echoing it. Honey Konav also says this. Once again, Honey Konav is the longest comment, but I've concised it down to this point for this part. I started getting cramps in my hand from the charge descending slash combo with the middle of my thumb while spamming the light attack combo, rising slash with the tip of my thumb. This is a big problem. If you're not feeling comfortable playing a weapon and in a game where you can't actually change the button prompts on your controller, unless you're playing on Steam and you can change it that way, and I think on some consoles you do have ways to change it outside of the game, but inside of the game itself there are no ways to change your button configuration. This is a big problem, and this is something that Capcom can address quite easily. They just have to put the effort into it, and hopefully they do that because it's really important. Navi 8801 said, all things considered, the only minor problem with the charge mechanic, I'm used to being a tad more aggressive with it, and the charge really feels like it slows down the flow, and the Kinsect not actually hitting where I'm targeting. It feels like pulling upwards when I want it to go straight. Now maybe this can be fixed with gyro controls, I'm not too sure, or maybe this is a certain bug that Capcom can fix when it comes to the aiming of the Kinsect. Let's hope for the best on that one. We got RS Valiant 760 here, and he first talks about how he's not an Insect Glaive user, but his friend played Insect Glaive and had some frustrations, and then he says, I tried it and I agreed. Was the controls, they're definitely really bad for controller. A solution I thought of would be to make it so after you hold the button to start the charge moves, you can let go and it will keep charging on its own until you press the button again. That would be a cool change. That way you don't have to hold on to the button. You can just press it and maybe do other stuff and then let it go whenever you want. It would make it flow a bit more. We've seen a lot of people complain about the charge move in these comments, so yeah, I think that would be a good fix overall. Number 2, loss of aerial combat and versatility. Yes, it was very much rumored over months and months that there was no way that you could bounce and keep in the air many times as you could in World and Rise. In 3 times in Rise, and I think it was the same in World. Even in Rise, they added in more stuff to help you keep in the air with some of your switch skills and your wire bug skills, which is very useful and very fun in the end. But the identity of the 5th gen Insect Glaive has changed. It's now kind of reverted back to how it was in the 4th gen. And I've noticed that a lot of people who may have played in the 4th gen may like it. They might be fine with it. But a lot of people in the 5th gen who know this weapon as that, now they have lost the identity of what they like the weapon for. Now, if you're just reading what Josh said here, he says, removing aerial was fine for me until I realized every other weapon kept their 5th gen upgrade. That's like if they got rid of Foresight Slash for the longsword or Savage Axe for the charge blade. And I suppose for the most part, he's right. Most weapons have contained the core values of their weapons still. They still work in the same way. You still have True Charge Slash on the Greatsword, and as he said, you still have Savage Axe on the charge blade. Even though it's moved to a different sector of the weapon, it's still available. But aerial has been limited. It's not the same way as it's been before, and that's another issue that people are finding. And then Ashram adds into this saying, I don't think they will change any core mechanics. If bounce back does come back, that'll be nice, and maybe more people will be comfortable with it. Yes, I don't think anything's going to change either. So unfortunately, these are just the things we're going to be stuck with for now. Now if we're moving on to Blue Fire Demon 448, nice to see you once again, my friend. He says, things aside, it's not Insect Glaive anymore, in my opinion. Like, why would you do normal attacks when you can just spam Kinsect Drill? It's now a cheaper charge blade. Now this is a mix of the two, right? Like we were talking about aerial compatibility and versatility. It's limiting it. In this situation, the versatility of the weapon seems to be limited away from using your normal attacks, more to the spamming of the drill and more to the spamming of your charge attack. I actually noticed this myself. The charge attack seemed so strong that I was like, why should I be going around attacking when I could just hold this button, charge this button? And it's hard to charge the button and attack at the same time because of the control, similar to what people said in the first point. I would throw out the charge, I'd do my damage, and it was so much damage in comparison to anything else, it never incentivized me to actually play the weapon in any other means, which is a problem. This is what balance is important. Now obviously this is a demo, we don't know how the balance is going to be overall, but if you're going to limit me into a certain way of playing, that builds a problem in allowing people to experience different aspects of the weapon. In the end, people could just be spamming that one button because it's so powerful, but we have to wait and see on that one for when the full game comes out when we see the full balance. And when it comes to versatility, Honey Konav also said, I kept trying to hold down strong attack button to charge it up and then let go before I land, but more times than not, I ended up landing on the ground, frustrated. Exactly. Yeah, I felt the same way. It kind of feels weird charging in the air and then having to do stuff on the ground like that. Maybe we need to get used to it. I don't know. Maybe there's something they can do. There's still time for Capcom to fix this. It's not a massive issue when it comes to button configurations. Ideally, I hope they can just make it so we can actually just use our buttons the way we want, but that's not the case at the moment. Now, third point. It proceeds to play similar to charge blade, which a lot of people talked about, and I think this is adding in more to the previous point when it came to the charge attack. Blue Fire Demon said they made a cheaper charge blade spam, which is basically that charge attack now that we have. I don't remember the name, you guys can tell me down in the comments down below, but yes, it feels like we're more incentivized to now charge that to use it, and a lot of people are speaking the same thing. Josh right next, who says, speaking of which, Insect Glaive in this game just feels like a worse version of charge blade. You're basically forced to spam that. Damn. And when I see people saying the same points over and over, it highlights to me that it's a bigger problem than we realize. Because if 2 people here can have the same opinion on this one poll, imagine how many other Insect Glaive users feel this but haven't said it. They're just sitting quiet. Maybe they just haven't seen this poll or see my comments or see the channel. Who knows? This is something that needs to be addressed. Next, number 4, triple extract requirement. Fogthing says the hardest thing to adapt to when needing all 3 extracts for the full moveset and the slower grounded combos, which many people have said throughout these comments. CommonBlaze9280 also says this. He says the grounded combo feels harder to use because the triple up being necessary for the full thing, combined with the fact that you're going to use up your extracts a lot more, makes for a less pleasant experience. Both of these guys are right. If you're using it more, but you need all 3, it's kind of like the base moveset, which is already kind of garbage and no one wants to be in, now feels worse because you're forced to be in it more often. I suppose the trade-off in game design is you're supposed to rotate between keeping your extracts and keep yourself powerful, but then expending them for big overall moves. That's the trade-off. If people don't like that trade-off, if they don't find it pleasant to play because the core mechanics of the basic moveset without the buffs are that bad, then I think that is a core issue with Insect Glaive as a whole when it comes to their moveset. but that's just my opinion. I think it's highlighted even more in this game due to the changes. Josh also says, because your regular moveset just isn't good anymore and they removed aerial style completely, you're basically just formed to spam. Yeah, so you're just spamming the moves like I said before, spamming the charge moves because everything else just feels so different and removed from as it seems. So once again, people are echoing all these points, and you can see the last 4 points are all kind of adding into each other, or at least the last 3. The loss of area and versatility, the similarity to charge blade, and the triple extract requirements all add into each other to the same point. And you're going to see it in this next point, and I think this is why it's so powerful, because all these points are just adding into each other to why people aren't enjoying Insect Glaive. Now, point number 5, slow attack speed and clunky combos. Josh says, even if the upgraded moveset, your forward triangle jab stays unupgraded, which is a weird way of saying that. It's more like stays normal, right? Rather than stays unupgraded, but it's fair enough. More power to you, Josh. The regular moveset just isn't that good anymore. I mean, from what Josh is saying here, your triangle, which is the top button, I think that's your normal attack. If it's not upgraded when you got all 3 buffs, it just feels like not a good button to press anymore. From what he's saying, it's still the same from the regular moveset. Is that a bug or is that intended? I'm guessing it's intended, but Blue Fire Demon says the attack triangle combo feels very slow, so he's echoing the same thing, which is a problem. The whole point of getting the Kinsects was that it makes your moves faster, it makes them stronger. Now, if the triangle combo doesn't feel as good, then that's a problem for the moveset overall. Just going back to what Frog Things was saying, because I think it adds into this. Honestly, the hardest thing to adapt to were needing all 3 extracts for the full moveset and the slower grounded combos. Once again, the slower grounded combos, everyone's echoing it. I also realized this when I was playing. I didn't even know that it was a thing. Normally, since I only played the game in Rise, I'm used to just needing the attack buff, and I think I need the white one as well. After that, I can do my full combo. I don't have to worry about the orange one if I don't want it. The orange one just helps with earplugs by having all 3. But as long as I had the 2, I can have my full moveset, I believe. And when I was playing in the demo, I had the 2. I thought I was good to go, but I was still attacking like crap. I was attacking so slow. I was like, what's going on? Then I realized, okay, I need to have all 3. Having your extracts now is a bigger part of the weapon, and it's more important. Maybe people adjust to it, and maybe there's more ways to keep up to your extracts. Maybe there's more things we'll see as we go on in the game itself. It's hard to say because we don't see the full picture, but these are people's feelings and how they feel, and they matter regardless. Next on point 6, restricted Kinsect functionality. And here we got Josh talking about the focus mode. Tying the bug attacking with you to focus mode is kind of cool, but I feel like that should be from a bug type. I think he's saying here that rather than it being tied to focus mode, it should be one of the Kinsect types that would just happen whenever and not tied to the focus mode itself. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about that, because I kind of think that it's just an overall Kinsect thing now. This thing about getting your extracts, expending it, it's not something that should be tied to a bug, but I don't know if I agree with it being stuck to focus mode itself. Obviously, they're trying to incentivize focus mode more. I'm not sure why focus mode needs to be incentivized when it comes to grabbing your extracts. Maybe because the whole idea about being more concise with how you're attacking, I don't agree with it still, but I can understand their point of view. Now, the final factor here is people feel like it's limiting the fun factor and reducing the enjoyment. You got Josh here who says, in conclusion, it just doesn't feel that Insect Glaive anymore and isn't that much fun. It does good damage, but I'm only doing one when the Insect Glaive is known for versatility. Now, I think what he's trying to say here is that yes, you have good damage, I'm assuming by the charge factor, but the versatility of how the weapon plays, he doesn't feel like it's there anymore. The base kit, apparently people aren't really liking. So this is hopping back to our point 2, that the versatility of the weapon is kind of gone. It's how people feel. So they're just not getting the most out of it as possible. And from reading all these other comments, you can kind of see that people just aren't feeling that great playing the weapon. From the restricted Kinsects, the slow moves, the base kit not seeming important, the triple extracts, people aren't enjoying these new aspects of the weapon. In a silo, it may not seem too much, but when you add all of these comments together and all of the reasons they're talking about, it adds into amalgamation of why people aren't vibing with the Insect Glaive in this game, and it's unfortunate, but it's just how they feel. You may not agree with it, and I might not agree with it either, but it's important to understand why people feel the way they feel, so Capcom specifically can come up with solutions to fix it in the future. Now, most of these issues aren't going to be fixed in this game, but there are some of them that can be, such as controls can always be fixed, accessibility can be fixed. When it comes to versatility and where that damage works, balancing, aim ability, I don't think it will come back until maybe the DLC game for this game, but we have to wait and see for that. Triple extracts is not going to change, I'm sorry. The attack speeds could change because it's tied to balance. So I'm hoping with all of those added in, the fun factor will come back for these people, and the reason why they like Insect Glaive will come back, because that's the most important thing. In the end, people having fun with their weapons. But it's not just all doom and gloom, we've also got some good parts. So let's get into that next. From reading everyone's comments, number 1 here, we got appreciation for the Kinsect mechanics and focus mode, with Asheram saying, I also really love the changes to how the Kinsect fights with you. It feels like the Kinsect is an extension of your weapon now, and I agree. As soon as I saw it in the overview trailer, I thought this was great, because previously Insect Glaive kind of felt like you just send out the Kinsect, it gets the extracts, you bring it back, you send it out 3 times, well ideally at minimum, if you have double extracts technically twice, but generally in minimum 3 times to get extracts, and then you start fighting. A weird window of 20 seconds where you have to do your prep before you actually get to fight. In this game now, it's more like you're doing it while you're fighting, which is cool. I like that aspect. And I think it's important for the development of the game to make all the aspects of a weapon feel tied together. And Wild, I think that's the thing. When it comes to gun lance, they're trying to make every move in that kit work together well, so they feel like you can actually flow from one move to the other. Lance, even though people don't agree with the moves, they're trying to make it feel like every single aspect of the weapon has an important part. Different counters, different ways to attack, use different moves for different situations. In the Insect Glaive, they're trying to make things so every part of the weapon is important. Now, they may be lacking in balance when it comes to a normal kit, and hopefully they improve that. But when it comes to the Kinsect, they're trying to make it so it's actually a very integral part of your gameplay, which I really appreciate. Now, Honey Konav says, the Kinsect adding on top of your damage with focus mode on almost always is great. And to finish off with Frog Thing saying, I'm excited to see how powerful Kinsect interactions with Kinsect charge and focus mode attacks. So yes, people are really enjoying the way that focus mode ties into the Kinsect and to the weapon overall. And I'm also excited to see how it goes forward. Now, the triple extract system and the buff management. Honey Konav actually says the triple collection system is fun to interact with. I like it. And as I was saying, it's kind of like a give and take, right? You use your extracts for a big powerful move and then you gain them back. So you have them for your buffs, but then you can use them again. You can kind of choose how you want to deal with them. Do you want to keep them so you have more buffs, so you're more powerful, or do you want to expend them for a quick, powerful attack? It's up to the user. Now, the balancing might be off at the moment, hopefully to get it right, but the more the balancing is tight, the better the decision making on your part will be, and I think the more enjoyable the system is overall. Astram also adds to this saying, I did not mind needing all extracts to get to your advanced attacks, as you can get to them really quickly, but just attacking normally, which is good. I guess they've changed it, like I was saying before on point 1, to actually be able to get your extracts while fighting, which is great. Manwolf says, balancing out the Kinsect stamina with focus mode is pretty fun, especially since I get more farm parts from the support Kinsects from Rise. Yes, there was a lot of nice, interesting Kinsects in Rise that they've added, and having the Kinsect as a more staple part of the moveset when it comes to buff management and grabbing extracts is just going to add to the enjoyment if you enjoy that part of the weapon. So thanks for everyone on those comments, it's really good to see. But let's not stop there, let's move on to the next part, part 3. Grounded combat feels fluid and integral. Aswam says, it does a good job of merging aerial and grounded combat and makes it fluid and natural instead of gimmicks that break up your combat. Now, I do know that people love the aerial combat, but in all honesty, it did break up the combat quite a lot, and it made it difficult for NPCs, for monsters to actually track you, as they're not very good at tracking you while in the air. Now, truthfully, Capcom could have spent more time researching R&D into the AI to get the AI just correct for this game, so monsters can track you easier, so they don't have to rip it out of the game. I think that's probably one of the reasons why it came out of the game, because it's so easy for Insect Glaive users to just bypass most of the game by staying in the air. Most of the monsters can't really deal with you in most situations. In Rise, it got a bit better because monsters actually were able to hit the air more, but even then, there were still a lot of issues and inconsistencies. But in this game, you go from aerial down into ground combat more fluidly, which I think is important. So I do understand that people are missing the aerial combat, but I think what Ashram's saying here makes sense. Then Sunny JCR says, I love the new Insect Glaive kit. Its moveset is so fluid and the combat loops feel incredibly satisfying to me. Manowolf25 says, after playing around with it some more, it's a very comfy feeling for Insect Glaive in my opinion. So we do have some people who do enjoy the moveset and they feel it's fluid from the ground and through the air, so mixing both together is important. I think Capcom don't want people just in the air all the time, but they also don't want people in the ground all the time. They want to have a balance of both, going back to how Insect Glaive was back in the 4th gen. And Ashram also reflects this, saying it is going to be a very interesting change for people to accept. I think people coming from the 5th gen are going to have the hardest time with it. I was also new to the 5th gen and mained Glaive for hundreds of hours, and I really enjoyed my time using it in the beta. It's good to see regardless of someone joining from the 5th gen, they were still able to enjoy the changes that's happened to Insect Glaive. But yes, as Ashram says, I'm afraid that most people from 5th gen are gonna have problems with it over the people from previous gens. But overall, let's hope for the best. Next point, mounting and utility in combat. Honey Konav going in saying, in Wilds, it's still the most natural mounter among the weapons. And yeah, it's right. Just being able to jump into the air in general, going back to how it was played back in 4U, it's the best way and easiest way to get into the air compared to any other weapon. Probably after that, I'd probably say it's the Lance, because Lance you can just jump with your charge pretty easily, but not all weapons have that ability. It's not so easy for other weapons just to get into air as easy as Insect Glaive, so the mounting capabilities of this weapon is very useful. Honeycomb says it's still a great mounter, a great wounder, and its damage is nothing to sneeze at. The only ones that will be sneezing are the monsters, because Insect Glaive is just that cold. Moving on to Honeycomb once again, the Kinsect's body hitting areas you're hitting as part of your combos opens them up quicker. So I think what it means here is opens up for wounds quicker. So the Kinsect just helps with your utility overall, which is really good. Lastly, we're left with some positive sentiments that people are feeling for the potential in the future, and hopefully with some fixes, they can get to a point where everyone will enjoy the weapon much more. We got Leo Lutton in here, says, I think if they fix that problem with the controls, way more people would accept the changes. Which, yeah, like I was saying, I think that's one of the main things they need to do to really get people to enjoy this weapon more. Raffle Dragons also says that it was awkward with the button configurations, but they're pretty sure they'll figure out when the full game comes out. Yeah, sometimes things take time, guys. This is just a beta. The more time you play with the weapon, maybe you enjoy it more, maybe not. But let's just be hopeful, and hopefully Capcom have put a lot of fixes and addressed a lot of the complaints that you've had throughout this video and just throughout the whole community, so the Insect Glaive can play much more like you guys would like in the end. So let's just finish off with some positive comments from people in the community. Now we got Ramadan Benny 6640 who says, if the upgraded Kinsect can do the dust nuke from Rise, I'd say it's the best Insect Glaive yet. I like to see the optimism. T Jones 4L said, once I realized I couldn't do my infinite combo because I was pressing forward, I liked it a lot more. Navaya 7 Hot Tip said, they need to fix some of the controls, but other than that, loved it. I always liked Ground Glaive with a little area or more, playing as it's intended to be. Masaka 8942nd, I kind of wonder what happened to the other massacres, but never mind. He says, honestly, loved it. Extract gathering is less tedious. Directional combos feel like home. Focus mode Kinsect assist has a lot of potential. I'm kind of craving more. Some things require polish, but overall, I'm pretty optimistic. So as you can see, guys, from all these comments, even though they see some negative parts, there are some tiny complaints, they're still quite positive for the weapon overall and where it's going to go. But for now, have an open mind. Let's see what they have for us when the game comes out. Play, test it, give feedback, and be honest about your opinions, because the best thing you can do in these type of situations. I personally would like you guys to enjoy Wild, and I bet you do too, so let's hope for the best. It's good to highlight the issues that certain things have, also the potential and the good things have or do, so we can improve on them for the future of the game or the future of anything that we're dealing with. Just talking about the negative or the good parts isn't going to help in general. You got to talk about the whole spectrum of the certain situation, and that's what I wanted to do with this video. Now, I'm not sure if I've done a great job. I need you guys to let me know down below what you thought. I pretty much talked about all my thoughts throughout this video. I think the Insect Glaive is interesting in concept. I didn't really care too much about the aerial stuff. I did use it, I did like it, I did abuse it, but without it, I'll be fine. I'm not Insect Glaive main in general, but I do want to use it more to kind of see how it feels with expanding the extracts and keeping the extracts. But the claw grip and stuff, yeah, I don't really want to do that too much. It's a bit weird, and I noticed that I had to do that a lot with focus mode with a lot of weapons, so it's not just an Insect Glaive thing. I think it's a thing with many weapons in this game so far that needs to be addressed as we go forward, because no one wants to be clawing while playing Mud Sun, or not anymore. We're not back in, I don't know, back in the 3rd gen or anything like that. Like, we don't need that anymore. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think down below. If you like this video, leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe if you're interested, and stay tuned for tomorrow because we've got more episodes coming out on other subjects. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. See you. And this is just for Anthony at the end. The guy keeps bugging me to talk about Insect Glaive every single damn video of mine for like 26 videos in a row. Please, man, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Here's the Insect Glaive video. Hope you're happy. Yeah, I'm done talking about Insect Glaive. I'm done.